Hey Raghunath, tell everyone about our Patreon community.
Sure, Kostuba. The Wisdom of the Sages Patreon community is an incredible online yoga resource. If you like the type of yoga wisdom and culture we share on the show, then our Patreon community is a great next step. This is a listener-supported podcast, and any level of sponsorship will unlock a wide range of live and archived classes, talks, and even workshops.
Raghunath teaches, I teach, and we have a host of other excellent teachers on topics ranging from yoga philosophy, asana classes, storytelling, Ayurveda, kirtan, cooking, meditation, and a lot more.
We even have an incredible online Bhakti 12-step recovery group.
So if you want to check it out, go to patreon.com/wisdom of the sages.
All right, let's get it on.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Live from Mara's house, this is Wisdom of the Sages, a daily yoga podcast with your host, Raghunath, and co-host and senior educator at the Bhakti Center, New York, Kostuba Das. Welcome to the show, everybody. Welcome to Mara's house. Yeah, my internet is out, Kostuba, and I am going against Elon because the Starlink, there's no customer service with Starlink. They're just like, we're gonna streamline this thing. We don't need humans anymore.
There must be some
satellites, spaceships, and zero customer service. And I cannot figure out how to work this. So I'm switching back to my cruddy DSL, which is way behind the times because I live in a farm.
That's a problem, Raghunath.
It's a problem, but they're giving me a 25, what's it called? Mbps, which is not the best, but it's.
What's the one that you have, the Starlink?
There's no other options. There's like a monopoly going on up here. This is like, they wrote laws about this.
Okay. All right. Let's not go off. Let's not start.
What are those laws called?
Let's pick up the mood here, Raghunath. How you doing otherwise?
I'm doing very well. Very well.
Good.
Yes, I'm doing very well. Just hanging with Mara.
Okay. Well, how about speaking of Mara, maybe there's some announcements this morning.
There are. We have an asana class with Ariel Castillo for our Patreon members at 10 o'clock this morning. And then back to recovery group meetings. The men meet at noon today. The women meet at 2. And then Wisdom of the Sages retreat at Super Soul Farm. If you're interested, go to wisdomofthesages.com/events.
That's happening.
Yeah. It's filling up quick. And then episode 1000 on Thursday.
Yeah, even Papa Tony marked his calendar.
Oh. Yeah, everyone come. Everyone try to come for that one.
Mm-hmm. What's
Well,
up with
Radha
you,
Swami.
Kostuba?
What's up with me?
Yeah.
I'm working, man. I'm working.
All right.
Getting into this book, I want to pump it out. So I'm feeling good.
Oh, and Wisdom of the Sages retreat is also going to be in Italy. No, Wisdom of the Sages, no. Bhakti Recovery Group is also happening during our Italy retreat.
When you ask me how I'm doing, do you care, Raghunath? Are you even listening?
It was just sort of like a what's up?
Okay.
You never
You weren't
expecting
supposed
the
to
person
answer
to
it.
explain what is actually happening.
All
in
right,
your
sorry
body.
about that.
No, your book's going to be great.
I hope so.
I'm
You
excited.
know who I spent some time with Paris too yesterday.
Oh,
And her
Paris too. We
fiance
love
Bijan.
Paris too.
Yeah. It was great. We spent some good quality time.
That's what I call Paris 2's family came on pilgrimage. It was like her sisters, her children, her mother-in-law. It was like 5 or 6 of them came on pilgrimage. And when she's like, "Do you mind if I bring all these people on pilgrimage?" My first reaction was like, "Oh boy, oh boy." You know what I mean? You're
'Cause
bringing your mother-in-law and
you
your
don't want
sister
people
and
that are like, you have to explain everything and they're kind of confused, so
Yeah.
you're dragging it down. Or
And you know what?
they
And
were
then
into it.
4 days in, they were like, my husband's coming too. And I was like, is your husband like into any of this? No, not at all. I was just like, you're just going to drag this guy out of his workplace in Southern California and bring him on a kooky India pilgrimage? Are you crazy? But I tell you, they all flew high, real
Wow.
high. The kids flew high. It was like the kids and one of the kids' best friends. They were great. The mother-in-law was incredible. We became best friends. It was really, really sweet time.
Nice.
Yeah, I didn't know what I was getting into. I don't think they did either, but it all worked out so wonderfully.
Sometimes you just get in that flow of bhakti, and it's something that's inside everyone, you know. So when people go, oh, yeah, this is all about good stuff, you know. I like this lifestyle. I like the message. I like the music.
Yeah.
I like the food. I like the people. This all works.
Is her sister in town this week?
She wasn't. I didn't see her yesterday.
Okay, talk to them. Anyway, well, nice.
Yeah.
All righty.
Nugget time, huh?
It's nugget time, and have I got a nugget for you?
Who's it from?
This is from your friend and mine, Mark Twain.
Did you read Mark Twain books when you were a kid?
I did. Now they're all banned.
No.
Really?
No.
I never.
Are they?
They've got to be banned, but they're
doubt
great
it.
books.
I never read them.
And you know what I like about Mark Twain? He went to India as a young man, and he, imagine when traveling through India in the 1800s, how great that must have been.
Oh my
There's
God.
a lot of great quotes on India.
Yeah, there's one famous one, right? Like India has everything that everyone else has and more, or something like that.
Yeah, why don't while we do this nugget, you guys can do some Google searching for Mark Twain quotes on India.
Pulling it up right now.
Greece
India is the
was an
cradle of the human
example.
race,
Yeah.
the birthplace of human speech, the mother of history, the grandmother of legend, and the great grandmother of tradition.
Mm-hmm.
But there's another one I was thinking about.
An imaginary land, a fairyland, dreamland, a land made of poetry and moonlight for the Arabian Nights to do their gorgeous miracles.
That's him? That's what he said that?
Yeah. It wasn't
He was,
me.
he was really
I'm
into
not
it.
so poetic. Where have you brought me? Okay.
All right, let's get into the nugget.
Mark Twain. Nugget. Stay away from those people who try to disparage you, Kostuba.
All right.
Disparage your ambitions. Small minds will always do that, but great minds will give you a feeling that you can become great too.
Hmm.
What do you think about that, my friend?
What do I think about it?
What you think about that?
Well, I think a lot of things, but I appreciate the mood, and here's the point, right? Everybody's got their opinion, right? And their opinions are not necessarily well informed, and then they blend all their emotions and their insecurities and all their mental issues and all that, and then they start to judge everyone.
Ooh.
We shouldn't let that kind of stuff hold us down. We should get our compass pointed where we want to go and just start moving in that direction. And if you like it, great.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're going to criticize me for moving forward, I'm not going to hate you, but I'm definitely not going to let you slow me down. So there's that. And if you were to ask the average person, what's your measure of success, right? What's your measure? You're judging me whether or not I'm successful or if what I'm doing is worthy or whatever. But what's your measure of success? And just see how profound their responses may be. We may find quite often that people don't really have a very deep idea about what success looks like.
Mm.
So, they might come up with, you're married, you raise a family, you have, a successful job or whatever, or you're, who knows, these sages from ancient India that Mark Twain is appreciating so much, they had such a well-developed, thoroughly articulated, brilliant ideas about life and its meaning and its purpose. And if you're cluing in on that, and you're getting a whole different picture of what success could be, that I am not this body, I am not this mind, I am this spark of divine energy within. It's nature, right? My very nature is that I'm eternal, I'm full of knowledge, I'm full of bliss. And I'm going to make my business in life to uncover that, to discover that, to experience that to its fullness. And I'm willing to do whatever it takes to do. I'm moving in that direction in a positive way. And if you want to come with me, great. that's what I look. That's what I'm looking for in success. You know, and if you can understand that and appreciate it, great. And maybe you're too small-minded, you know. I'm not even saying that you have to agree with me, but maybe you're so small-minded you can't even expand it enough to try to understand where I'm coming from. Then I'm just moving on, you know.
I like that. We want extraordinary things. You got to step up and become extraordinary as well. I want to become extraordinary in this lifetime. You might not get that. You know, I want to become incredibly
Yeah.
fortunate in this lifetime. And that's going to take me it's going to take a lot for me to step up and do that. I don't have time for hanger-ons pulling me back somewhere.
And it may
And
look weird in this world, right? It may freak some people out. It may be hard for some people to understand, like whether it's my actions or my practices or my beliefs, or you know. But you know, that's who was it? There was someone else that had this famous quote. I'm forgetting who it was now, but they're like that. To be well adjusted in a world that's got like its whole values backwards isn't like you know the quote I'm thinking of.
Mara,
Mary's on that.
you're smart.
She knows it. You know that one, Mary? She's working on.
Yeah.
It's hard to say to be well adjusted in a society that's backwards or something. But in any case, yeah, we may seem weird. And you know what, Raghunath, what else? And if you're listening to this podcast right now, right? I
Yeah.
believe you have the potential in this life to achieve the goal of yoga, to achieve the very goal of life, you know, to uncover that true nature. You know, it's not something that's impossible to do. Because even if we're reading these ancient texts, it may come off like, oh my God, you know, what the states of consciousness that these yogis achieved is like something that's out of my reach. I'm stuck here in this bizarre world of scrolling and going to work all day, every day, and that will never be me. No, I say you just need. It's just like Arjuna in the Bhagavad Gita, right? At a certain point, he felt like, I don't think I can be a yogi. And Krishna's like, no, you just need the appropriate practice of yoga. You know, the one where you can transform your social responsibilities into an offering, into a practice of yoga, and one that has powerful transformative elements like Mahamantra, like Srimad Bhagavatam, you know, Kirtan, Prasadam, you know, good Sangha, visiting holy dhams like Vrindavan.
This is like a magic bag, what you're mentioning. Good Sangha, Mahamantra, Bhagavatam. These are life transformers.
Yeah, don't think that you can't achieve that goal. You can. We've seen people achieve that. We've seen people that are otherwise ordinary people just completely.
I've seen myself. I see myself transform.
You
know how I know that?
I'm talking about
not
you.
Because not because I'm so like high. It's because sometimes I slip a little mentally, and my consciousness is in a different place. I got to really. Me and Mara in the middle of a wonderful evening last night, and I got this really negative, nasty text message from a particular person that used to be in my life on a regular basis every day. And
every day. Now they hate me.
It was just so mean. And it's just sort of like, it's like ferocious and abusive. And it's like, what do you do with that? And you just, I've stopped. I wanted to write back, but Mara said in her self-controlled wisdom, she goes, do not respond. I was like, that's good wisdom here. Because
Mara.
Once you respond to a nasty text message, then you get a nasty one back. It's not they're thinking of your response going, I never thought about it like that. You're insightful. Okay, let's stop the text exchange now. It doesn't go like that. You fuel them to dig their heels in deeper. Then they write something nastier. Then I write something nastier. And then you got like Israel and Pakistan. I mean, Israel, Palestine or India and Pakistan going on. It's just like horrible. And it never ends. So Mara just said, she's holding a hot coal and she's whipping it at you. Do not receive the hot coal. Walk away. Once you don't receive it, you don't get burned, you know?
Thank you, Mara.
Thank you, Mara.
Oh, hot coal metaphor.
Yeah, and so when people are going at you like that, you have to be able to or else what happens is your consciousness gets dragged down. I've been there before. And then you feel like, man, it's like I've compromised my spiritual life here.
That's
a
right.
compromised spirit, and I'm going into stinking thinking, old ways of thinking, revenge, spite, etc. Now, I appreciate what you're saying about like we got to cut off. People don't get your, your intense focus. You want perfection. You're going to have to work for it. There's a lot of people that aren't going to get it. I was thinking something else. I
Okay.
was thinking the demons are from inside. The demons. Of the house,
Oh, that's what,
right?
excuse me.
Yes. And I said, not today, Satan. So I was thinking, it's not just these people are saying, Kostuba, criticizing you, taking you down under, this guy, who does he think he is? You'll get a lot of that. Once you step in, you'll get a lot of people trying to drag you down and coming between you and your dreams. But I was thinking a lot of the demons that are coming after me are my internal demons, my own personal. I wrote down a few. My own personal like indecision. Why can't I pull the trigger on this? Why can't I move forward? I've been thinking about this same plan. I think it's going to be good for me, good for my family, good for my spiritual life, good for my well-being, but I won't pull the trigger. Why? So that indecision is sometimes one of these demons.
Okay.
My own self-worry, poor investment in time and energy. What if? Never chant that what if mantra. It's important. That's why we have some worry. Hey, there's a crazy dog outside. Don't go outside. There's a good point. There's worry. It's a healthy thing too. But when control worry, you got these enemies that want to fight you, human enemies, animal enemies, but also these internal demons. They want to fight you. Fight them back. Put them in a corner. Tell them how to behave. Don't be a slave to them. Use worry for your benefit, but not to work against you. Here's another one. Pessimism. Cup's half empty. Cup's half empty. Okay, we get it. The cup's half empty. But if that's all you see, it's important to understand the cup is half empty because it's also half. But if it's all I see, that pessimism will get me nowhere. Yeah. And I just wrote down, you want, like you were saying, you want an extraordinary result. So therefore you got to step in to an extraordinary lifestyle. We want to become Krishna conscious in this lifetime. You can do it, but we got to step into that.
There you go.
And this is what we're doing in the morning, right? We're stepping in. We're stepping in to like hearing and chanting first thing in the morning. It's the gateway.
Yeah, somebody said, well, what, do you get up early in the morning and you get on the Zoom thing and you're doing what?
It's hard to understand. It's a podcast. Don't worry. Just say it's a podcast. It'll make people happy.
And, like he's using this term small minds, right? Small minds will always do that, but great minds. This is the positive side of it, that great minds will give you the feeling that you can become great too. We should all have that optimism, right? That I could make this life successful, that I could do something extraordinary, even if I seem like I'm in the most ordinary circumstances, like everybody else in this world, right?
Mm.
And kind of tied down, due to circumstances and stuck with a lot of bad habits that just make it difficult to kind of break out. No, it can be done. Let me just start to focus energy in that direction, and it starts to snowball. It can start to snowball, build.
And if you're an ambitious person, sometimes you think like, well, okay, I've done a lot in this world, but like, I'll never do what Elon Musk did. I'll never do what Bill Gates has done. I'll never do, you're thinking like, I'll never do those things. I will never move mountains like that. No, it's not that. It's not how much you've done, how wide you've gone. It's how deep you go. And you can go very, very deep, even living a very simple life. Krishna's not asking us to go out there and make tens of thousands of people devotees and build huge skyscrapers. Krishna's asking us to go real deep. You know what all you have to do? You offer a leaf, a flower, a fruit with some love. That's all you have to do. You, with what you've got, you offer it with love. And guess what?
Yeah.
You can write success literature from there. You're the most successful. Imagine if I said that. I'm a success guru. I'll be your life coach. And what are we going to learn today? We're going to learn how to offer a leaf. Love.
Well, we're going to.
That's success. That's total success.
You know who you're speaking. You know who you're thinking like now.
No.
Mother Teresa.
Oh yeah.
Who said?
Mother Teresa quote for me?
not all of us can do great things, but we can do small things with great love.
Yeah.
So that's a perfect, successful life. You know, if you do small things with great love, you know, who knows? Your small things may turn into great things, may turn into big things. They may not. But even if you do small things with your life, but you do them with great love, that's as successful as anything else, you know. So don't
Hey,
think that this life can't become great, you know, in that sense, you know, it can become very special and wonderful. I found
you
that
okay.
oh, go ahead.
Sorry, buddy.
No, you go
Sorry,
ahead.
buddy.
I was going to change it. I was going to shift gears.
But don't
Go
shift
ahead.
it yet, because I got one more thing to say about that, because it's
Yeah.
important. You might feel like, who do I influence? Because Stuba's up there influencing tens of thousands of people there on that podcast. Who do I influence? Guess what? If you influence one person in a
There you go.
positive way, that person could
May
influence
influence
that person, or that person could influence another person that influences tens of. They could
That's
influence
right.
a filmmaker, the next president of the United States, or prime minister. You don't know. I mean, we influence a lot of people. I've influenced a lot of people with my music, etc. But there's been people that have influenced me that had a very small circle of influence. But I was in that circle.
Mhm.
And maybe I'll influence someone, or you'll influence someone,
You'll
or they'll
expand that.
influence
You'll
someone,
expand their circle in a sense.
right?
Yeah.
You know what me and Mara were listening to yesterday in the car?
I have no idea.
If you the Shelter, it's on Spotify, Shelter Quest for Certainty. And if you don't know this, it was a Let me
Okay.
tell you a history of CDs, everybody.
Just one second. I just want to get Mara's opinion, her review. How was it, Mara?
Well, we didn't listen to the music of Shelter. We listened to the lecture of H.D. Goswami, and it was great. And we listened to some of the secret bhajans on there too.
See, in the old days when they were trying to push CDs and push people away from vinyl, some of you guys don't even know what I'm talking about. Like, what's vinyl? Vinyl's a record. Used to record a record on vinyl. And so then the music industry is trying to push people, and they say, you know what we'll do? With this CD, we'll put a bonus track on the CD. And that'll encourage people to buy CDs because they're indestructible and they're the future. And they weren't. They self-destructed quicker than LPs.
It was low quality
low
sound.
quality. Anyway, so my point was, so some of the bonus tracks that Shelter used on, we have a CD called Quest for Certainty. So there was 3 chants on there. The first one was the Vishnu Sahasranam, 1,000 names of Vishnu.
Mm-hmm.
The second one was Hari Bhajan, that story I always tell about Hari Bhajan.
Okay.
The guy used to speak in 2 pitches higher than a human voice. I recorded him on my Radio Shack tape recorder chanting Hare Krishna, and it's beautiful. He had a very little circle of influence, but tens of thousands of people bought that record.
All right.
And the third one was a great kirtan at the Radha Gopinath Mandir in Jaipur. And the fourth one is a lecture by H.D. Goswami, which was
Hold it. Are you sure that that's where that kirtan came from? Because I remember, Raghunath, and I never got an apology for this.
What?
But I remember many, many years ago, like 1992 or something like that.
What happened?
And I had this tape that I'd found, and like we were talking about just finding books in ashrams. I found this tape. Somehow this tape came my way.
Yeah.
It's some old, cassette tape. And it was a recording of a kirtan that was in Jagannath Puri that was like massive. It was like this huge sound.
Really?
It sounded like thousands and thousands of people chanting Jaya Jagannath. It was that melody,
Oh, yeah.
And you asked to borrow it from me. You said you were going to put it on your record. And I said, okay, just make sure I get it back.
Oh, and I never gave it back?
Never got that back.
It's an offense, I think. It is.
Are you sure it wasn't that recording?
It wasn't that.
Okay.
This was, I did also live.
You can still apologize.
I apologize for losing that.
Okay, no, just
and
kidding.
I'm going to apologize to Mara in advance because part of my
something of hers
AD
today
is not just ignoring people. It's not ignoring sounds deliberate, Mara. I'm just hyper focused on other things.
Or distracted, not you're meant to be focused on the person that's speaking to you.
Language
it's called
offensive.
Distracted.
I find that language offensive, and I won't accept that. I'm hyper focused on other things.
All right. On like 10 different things.
On 10 different things.
Yeah.
There's different types of intelligence, Kastuba and Mara.
Yes.
Okay. And in advance, part of that type of intelligence is you lose things. And I lose a lot of things, Kastuba.
Especially of other people.
It doesn't matter. You give it to me, I lose it.
Okay. Now here's fun. Let's wrap this up. I found this quote.
Okay.
It was from Jiddu Krishnamurti.
Okay.
It is no measure of health to be well adjusted to a profoundly sick society.
I like him. I like some of Krishnamurti's stuff, but we should understand he's not a Krishna Bhakta.
Yeah, definitely not.
Do you know his story?
Yeah, let's not get into that whole thing.
Really, it's an interesting story.
Where time is ticking away. We got to get.
They raised him as the new Jesus.
Okay.
The second coming.
All right, you're gonna do it.
He was one of Madame Blavatsky's
Blavatsky, yeah.
Brain children. They took him, educated him, and trained him to be the new Jesus. And
I find most of honest. I don't like to criticize people by name, but I find most of his he talks in these circles. Don't listen to anyone. Then why should I listen to you? Like
I know. I love when people say you shouldn't listen to anyone. Okay, I'm not listening to you right now.
Yeah. Okay, let's get
be your own guru. Are you telling me that? Are you trying to be my guru by telling me that?
Right.
Be your own guru. Only a guy who's vying for guruship would say something like that.
But I like this quote, and to me, it goes back to our whole hardcore upbringing and everything, right? It's like
now you're going to quote Krishnamurti again. Okay, come on.
Well, the same quote, but it's no measure of health to be well adjusted to profoundly sick society. We should be a little weird. We should come off as a little because we're trying to we're trying to move out of certain ways that society has us locked down and think in broader ways and experiment with life in ways that the broader society isn't experimenting with. And you can't really make a very good argument that our society is profoundly well. You just have to look around.
Why do I want to become balanced in an unbalanced society? Yeah, I get you.
Okay. All right, Rogue, let's do this.
Okay.
Come on. Let's go.
I'm going to do these. Let's do these mantras. Have we decided to post these mantras so people can say them? What happened? You do. You put them in the show notes. She did it once. Okay. She's got a lot on her plate. Like, she's got things to knit for the whole world here. The whole world is waiting for this. Narayanam namaskritya naram chaiva narotamam devim saraswatim vyasam tato jayam madirayat. Before we start in the Srimad Bhagavatam, which is our very means of conquest, one should offer respectful obeisances to the Supreme Lord, Narayan. Unto Narayan Rishi, the supremmost human being, unto Mother Saraswati, the goddess of learning, to Srila Vyasadeva, the author. Nasta prayeshva badreshu nityam bhagavat sevaya, bhagavati utamashloke, bhakti rabhavati naishtiki, by regular attendance in classes in the Bhagavatam, and by rendering service to the pure devotee. All that is troublesome to the heart will become eradicated, and loving service to the Supreme Lord, whose praise with transcendental songs will be established as an irrevocable fact. Om Gyana Timarandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chaksurun Madatam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. I was born in the darkness of ignorance, and my teachers are opening my eyes with the torchlight of knowledge. I offer my obeisances at their lotus feet.
Okay, Mara, where we at?
Reading from Canto 5, Chapter 9, Text 7.
Oh, yeah. So, Bard Maharaj is born now he went through the deer body. Now he's back in a human body. And he's born into this Brahminical family. He's got lots of brothers. They're all well trained up. They're religious people. They got the whole
sister.
He's got a twin sister as well. And his father is trying to train him up, but he's like, I'm not going to get caught in the externals. I'm going to pretend I am just completely out of it. I'm like dull, like I'm a dullard, like I'm mute and blind. Everything
you know the song I'm going to sing, but I'm not going to sing it. So just let's continue.
Yeah, Pinball Wizard is not necessary.
Yes.
And now, and his father, even though he was putting on this show, like his father just had this affection for him and was doing his best. It's like, I'm going to give him what I have, even if he seems like he can't understand. I'm going to keep trying. But then his father passed away. Right.
Yeah.
And now we're going to hear about how he's treated or mistreated, misunderstood, mistreated.
Everybody, people might even have a flash trigger warning. You make it a flashback to junior high school. Okay, when you hear how they treated him, We're on text 7.
Yeah.
Thereafter, the Brahmana's younger wife, he had 2 wives, the father.
Yeah.
After entrusting her twin children, the boy and the girl, the elder wife departed for Patiloka, meaning she died also. She voluntarily died with
Jumped
her
on the
husband.
fire. We don't recommend this. We're not.
Oh, okay. She gave the other wife the kids, and then she said, "You know what? My husband's dead. I don't want to live any longer."
Right, which means Jada Bharata, now he doesn't have a father. His birth mother has passed away. Now he's being raised by his stepmother and all those other brothers.
Patiloka. Okay. After the father died, the 9 stepbrothers of Jad Bharata, who considered Jad Bharata dull and brainless, abandoned the father's attempt to give Jad Bharata a complete education. The stepbrothers of Jad Bharata were learned in the 3 Vedas, the Rig, Sama, and Yajur Vedas, which very much encouraged fruitive activity. The 9 brothers were not at all spiritually enlightened in bhakti. Consequently, they could not understand the highly exalted position of Jad Bharata. This is a famous last name in India, right?
Trivedi.
Trivedi, the Trivedis.
Yeah, it means I assume it means it's a Brahminical family. Within that family, they're training up everybody to understand 3 of the 4 Vedas, right?
Yeah, no, you don't have to tell us as Americans who, raised in so many different religions and went to Sunday school that just because you're religious doesn't make you a good person who understands anything spiritual. So you could be trained in all the theology, all the ritual, but be clueless when it comes to spirituality. So they were very deep and they were very expertly trained, but they couldn't even recognize that their brother was a highly evolved soul.
Well, this is what it says. It says the brothers had, it says Trayam Vidyayam. They had the vidya, they had the learning, the education in the Traya, in the 3. Right, in the 3, which refers to 3 of the 4 Vedas. It says, but it says na pada vidyayam. But they did not have, pada means you can say higher or transcendental. They didn't have this higher vidya. They didn't understand the higher truth. What the lower truths are meant to serve, right? Like all of the external things and all the superficial, the surface level things, they're meant to get you to that deeper understanding. They had the externals, and a lot of people, maybe a majority of people, the spiritual pursuit ends there, right? Like it kind of dies there, because you get prestige, you get respect, you maybe feel pride at that point. It blocks you from going to that deeper, that part of Vidya. Bhagavatam is saying, in the Srimad Bhagavatam, Vyasadeva, the author of all the Vedic literatures, he's saying, I've given you the 4 Vedas, I've given you the... Don't get stuck there. Get to that part of Vidya. Get to that deepest spiritual knowledge.
Love it.
Love it.
Text 9 and 10. Degraded men are actually no better than animals. Yep. I agree. Write that down.
True. Some animals
wear
are better
that
than
shirt around. That's a shirt.
Degraded men are no better than animals.
Degraded men are no better than... They're worse than animals, degraded men.
Yeah.
The only difference is that animals have 4 legs and such men have 2. Well, some animals have 2 legs. Right?
Technical. Yeah, but it's this term is used here, Dvipada Pashu.
Dvipada, two-legged animal.
That means a
Pashu.
Degraded human being.
These 2-legged animalistic men used to call Jad Bharata mad, dull, deaf, dumb. That deaf, dumb.
You couldn't resist, but he sure played a mean pinball.
What a crazy movie idea that was. That was unbelievable.
Rock opera.
They mistreated him, and Jad Bharata behaved for them like a madman. And say, okay, you want to call me crazy? I'll act crazy. Ever do that? Ever like, okay, you want to treat me like that? I'll be crazier.
That was part of the whole punk rock thing.
Yeah.
Continue, please.
And Jad Bharata behaved for them like a madman who was deaf, blind, and dull. He did not protest or try to convince them that he was not so.
He didn't need any. He was beyond the bodily identification. He was beyond the dualities of happiness and distress that are caused by when someone shows you respect or when someone doesn't. Most of us are tied down, locked down. If we get respect, we feel good. If we get disrespect, we get upset. We get disturbed. Most of us are control. We're vulnerable that way. You know, he wasn't like that. He didn't at all need to be seen with respect by these people because he was so solid within. You know,
I'm getting triggered right now.
okay, right.
You didn't
I
give
get
me a
no
trigger
respect.
warning, and now I'm in trouble.
What happened?
I'm having flashbacks to junior high school,
okay.
10th grade. I used to come in there wearing big engineer boots, a jacket that was painted Dead Kennedys, hyperactive child on the back of it, a beret with a New York hardcore pin in it.
That you got from Dave Insurgent. That was
yes, I did.
Okay.
A New York hardcore pin. Only you know that. A bandana tied around my right boot, an agnostic front sticker on that boot, and X's on my hands, and in some cases, like various chains.
If I would have walked into your school, I'd been like, okay, there he is. That's the only guy I'm going to be able to relate to here. Right?
I don't know what it was like in your school. You grew up in Pleasantville?
Yeah.
That name is so funny, Pleasantville.
There was one kid that was into punk rock in my school, but he was like, and he lived around the corner from me, but he was like 4 years older than me. So just as I was coming into the school, he was going out of the school, you know?
Yeah, that's true. I had one of those too. They were older. So anyway, I had 3 guys, but you got to understand, my high school class had 600. So the other classes also had 600. So we were like a tiny, tiny minority. And I tell you, these kids, I used to walk in down that hallway, and there was just one loudmouth girl. She used to just stop.
Whenever you go into the higher pitch, the microphone cuts it out.
Okay? No, really?
Yeah.
Okay. Oh my God. You are such a loser. And it was like so humiliating. Like in front of everyone, she used to scream that out. Oh my God. It was just so humiliating. But it's sort of like what I guess I looked for it, I guess.
You were asking for it. Okay.
Find myself.
Raghunath, you were
okay, I'm gonna.
You were mistreated. We all recognize that.
I could take it. I mean, it helped me. Like, just okay. You know what? I'm gonna be Hare Krishna. I don't care what anybody thinks. It prepared me to wearing a robe around New York City.
It did.
They mistreated him, and Jad Bharata behaved for them like a madman. He did not protest or try to convince them that he was not so. If others wanted him to do something, he acted according to their desires. Hey, go pick up that rock. Okay. Like you know, they just like order him around.
Yeah.
Be it a small quantity, whatever food he could acquire by begging or by wages, and whatever came his own accord, be it a small quantity, palatable, stale, tasteless, he would accept it and eat. He never ate anything for sense gratification because
most of us eat for sense gratification. For him, it wasn't necessary. Like, you know.
Yeah, he wasn't thinking I'm going to eat because I'm hungry. Let's go out to dinner and feel
tasty.
I'm feeling like pizza tonight. He's
I want
not like
better
that.
than this. Yeah.
He's finding something on the ground. I'll eat this. If someone offered me something palatable, I'll eat that. He didn't care for winter or summer. See, that's different than me. I'm like, freaking winter.
What is it gonna
Kelly
end?
Skinner's like, winter, ski time. He didn't care for either one. I'm not influenced by what he didn't care about the wind and the rain. I hate wind. And he never covered his body at any time. That could be a problem. I didn't go that far.
Yeah, don't go there, Raghunath.
He lay on the ground and never smeared oil on his body or took a bath.
I think that sounds weird, but in India, you know, you people use oil regularly, you know.
Yeah, I do oil now a lot. I do oil every day.
No, a little self-abhyanga, Raghunath.
A little abhyanga every day. I'm back on my abhyanga program. Because his body was dirty, his spiritual effulgence and knowledge were covered, just as the splendor of a valuable gem is covered by dirt. He only wore a dirty loincloth and his sacred thread, which was blackish, right?
Yeah.
So understanding that he was born in a Brahmin family, people would call him a Brahma Bandhu, means not a real Brahmin.
Yeah,
like
you're
a
kind of
friend of a Brahmin.
You hang out with the Brahmins, but you're really not one.
Yeah, you're just a friend of a Brahmin. Yeah, that was the old Hare Krishna pejorative. If a person wasn't like living in an ashram, you'd call them, well, is he a devotee? And be like, well, he's not a devotee. He's a friend of Krishna.
Okay.
You know, it's like, well, he chants at home. He's got an altar at home. He offers his food. Yeah, he's a friend of Krishna.
Okay.
A Brahma Bandhu is a pejorative, and other names. Thus being insulted and neglected by materialistic people, he wandered here and there.
Here and there. Okay, so he doesn't care. This is we can't imitate this,
He's okay with that.
but he doesn't have any external needs emotionally, in terms of his feelings of self-worth and all of that. He's not searching for that externally at all. And he's quite satisfied that everybody doesn't recognize the depth of his spirituality, because it's keeping him kind of insulated from it all.
I think there is a danger almost in hearing this without explaining what you just said, which is we don't try to imitate this.
Yeah.
Because it seems like, well, okay, that's a path. I like the idea of not caring about what people think.
We won't
Maybe
get very
I
far.
should wander around, not bathe, not comb my hair. There's also this whole thing of cleanliness is next to godliness. That's a real thing. That's what we're going to endorse here on the podcast. Because what happens is if you're not of the spiritual caliber that Jad Bharata is, what happens is in the name of being your own person and being like aloof to public opinion, you become tamasic, and that affects your consciousness in a deep way. You might start off with good intentions. And I've seen this happen to people too, who try to get all spiritual like that. I'm going to neglect my body. Careful.
No.
Hamas will
Well, actually,
take
in
over.
the next commentary, Prabhupada's going to mention this. Text
You
11.
meet this sort of like hippie-ishness thing sort of blended with spirituality.
Yeah.
And it becomes the hippie-ishness has a beauty about it too. It's like, I'm aloof. I'm not going to follow that traditional path. But
To nature.
yeah, but there's something very, very beautiful about the Vaishnava behavior and activities of cleanliness and regulation and rising early. And
But it's meant to serve a purpose.
it's meant to bring it. Yeah, it's not just so that we become Abercrombie Fitch models and like, you guys are clean cut and wholesome.
I'll read text 11 because the commentary will get a little bit into this.
Okay. Jad Bharata used to work only for food. His stepbrothers took advantage of this and engaged him in agricultural field work in exchange for some food. But actually, he did not know how to work very well in that field. He did not know where to spread the dirt or where to make the ground level or uneven.
Sounds
So
like he
was not a-
needed some of your permaculture expertise, Raghunath.
Yeah. He could have helped me. I could have helped him. His brothers used to
You
give
two
him
would have worked
broken-
together great.
They used to say, okay, here's your pay. You get broken rice, oil cakes. What the hell is an oil cake, Mara?
Okay, oil cake.
Olive oil cakes. Okay. Okay. Here, the chaff of rice, worm-eaten grains,
Oh.
and burned grains. That's the worst, burned grains.
Worse than worm eating?
Well,
Yeah, I'd rather have a burnt grain than a worm-eaten grain.
you know, people are
I
cruel.
forget whatever
no,
you're about
I
to
just
say,
can
Raghunath.
imagine this. I remember teenage boys just like picking on the dumb kid and like just being cruel. I don't know how you grew up, but there were cruel kids in my neighborhood. And they would just
Raghunath, let it go, Raghunath. Let it
yeah,
go.
it was like traumatic.
Let it go.
cruel children.
Let it go. Let it go.
My kids are not cruel.
No, you're
Okay, Raghunath, finish this verse here. Worm-eaten grains, burned grains.
Okay.
Stuck to the
His
pot.
brothers used to give him broken stuff. Okay. And burned grains that stuck to the pot. Those are the worst grains ever. But he gladly accepted all as it was nectar. Like, thanks for the worm-eating grains. Thank you. He did not hold any grudges, right? Like I held a grudge when that girl said, Ray Capo, you are a loser. I'm still holding a grudge. If I see her, I'm
Who
going
was
to
she?
say, you're a
We
loser.
need her name, Raghunath. We need her name.
I can't say it.
I'm just kidding. Okay. Purport.
He did not hold any grudges and ate all this very gladly. Purport. The platform of Paramahamsa is described in the Bhagavad Gita 2:15. Samaduka sukam dhiram somrita vyavya kalpate.
This verse reads, that's from Bhagavad Gita. The person who is not disturbed by happiness and distress and is steady in both.
Yeah.
is certainly eligible for liberation.
They're
Okay.
sama. They're even. They're
Even
same. Like where we
minded.
get the word same from.
Dukkha
and
comes
sukha.
along, sukha comes along, distress, pleasant things, unpleasant
be-
things. They're
And
dear to
they're
them.
dear. They're sober. They're thoughtful.
Yes. Yeah.
Right?
Okay.
When one is callous to all duality, the happiness and distress of this material world, one is fit for amritatva, eternal life.
Wow.
Yeah. So right now I'm complaining. My tea is cold. My tea is cold. It's like, come on, Raghu, get a little samadukha sukha.
Yeah.
Get a little even-minded. Bharat Maharaj was determined to finish his business in the material world, as he did not at all care for the world of duality.
Duality.
He was complete in Krishna consciousness and was oblivious to good and evil, happiness and distress. As stated in the Chaitanya Charitamrita, I'll just skip the Bengali here because my Bengali is sort of weak. In the material world, there's a quote from the Chaitanya Charitamrita. In the material world, conceptions of good and bad are all mental speculations. Isn't that true? Therefore, saying this is good and this is bad is all a mistake. One has to understand in this material world of duality, to think that this is good or that is bad is simply a mental concoction. However, one should not imitate this consciousness. One should actually be situated on the spiritual platform of neutrality. This we were saying earlier too.
Yeah. But there's a big, so there's two important points in the commentary. One is that what Prabhupada got there at the end is we can't imitate this. We can draw principles from it, right?
Yeah.
We're not going to do very well spiritually if we start wandering around naked, eating terrible food, just kind of, our whole thing will break down if we go there. We won't keep focused in the right way. We won't be moving forward.
It's not the path we're teaching.
But he was on such a level, the depth of his detachment was such, was so extreme that the things that would drive us crazy, for him, it was no problem, right? If we try to live like him, we'd be driven crazy by the whole thing, and we wouldn't be making any spiritual progress. Our meditation would be distracted in so many ways. Hey, don't say that about me. Hey, give me some decent food for once. But, we'd be all disturbed. He wasn't disturbed at all.
Yeah, as soon as I smelled the rice being burnt, I was like, I'm not eating that rice.
Okay.
I was like, someone burnt the rice. I can tell from here. I can tell from the living room.
But now the second very interesting point is that good and bad are all mental speculations. Now this isn't talking about ethics, right?
No, this is like my one hand is in hot water, one hand is in cold water. Then I put them both in room temperature water. One hand is saying this water is hot. One hand is saying this water is cold. It's the same water.
Okay, exactly. It's about the relativity of material pleasure.
Yeah.
Right. That was an interesting. Where'd you get that little science experiment? Where'd you get that?
Stamadas. Where else?
Oh, okay.
Where I get all my stuff from.
Stamadas. Classic.
And you can listen to classic Stamadas at the end of the Shelter Perfection of Desire CD.
There you go. Yeah. So if you have your hand in hot water, then you put it in normal room temperature water and it feels cold. It's relative. It's not that water is cold. It's just, it's all relative. It's relative to our experiences. It's relative to our tastes, which are programmed. So good and bad, when we say good and bad are all mental speculations, it's not saying that there's not good behavior and bad behavior, right? It's not taking ethics and throwing them out the door. It's speaking about something else that's really essential to understanding yoga, about the relativity of material pleasure, the relativity of the dualities of attraction and aversion, like what I'm attracted to. And there's really this verse 727 from the Bhagavad Gita.
Give me first word. Oh,
Icha.
Isha Samutena Dvandva. Right? Boom!
Yeah. Dvanda Mohena Bharata. Right? Arjuna, all living beings, when we're born in this world, we're born into a delusion, bewildered by the dualities, arisen from, you could say, Icha, meaning desire, what you wish, what you want, and Dvesha, meaning like what you're repulsed by, what you don't want, what you're trying to avoid, right? We have a mind that's programmed to say this will give you pleasure, that won't, But it's, and we use this analogy, you know, it's just like a computer, right? You take a computer, you can program it to automatically respond to certain stimuli. You can put a camera on the computer and a speaker on the computer and program it so that when you flash a red light, the computer responds with the human voice saying automatically, right? Saying, I like red. And when you flash a blue light, you can program the computer to say, I don't like blue. Now, that doesn't mean that red is good and blue is bad. It just means the computer has been programmed to respond instantaneously.
Sure, it's the meaning that we put on the computer program, and we can
Exactly.
do that with our own mind.
That we do, you know.
I got an experiment for you, people. Walk into a cold shower. If you haven't taken a shower today, you can do it. I want you to turn that water on very, very cold and walk into that shower just saying, I will notice sensation. I will notice sensation. I will notice sensation, but do not give that sensation meaning.
Look at you.
Do not say, it is cold. Just say, I notice sensation. And what will happen is you'll notice a sensation. You'll notice like your little horripilation perhaps happening, little goosebumps happening. You'll notice things happening with your body. Your body will tense up a little. Your breathing will tense up a little, but you won't say, it won't be cold until you say it is cold in the mind.
Or to say this is bad, like this is uncomfortable, or, you know, yeah.
Well, I say this because this is a step to controlling all your life experience.
It's so true. You know,
it was re-scripting what has happened to us. And, you know, it's reason why we wake up in the morning and say, Krishna, what would you like for me today? How can I serve you? What do you got for me today, Krishna? It's like accepting that whatever Krishna is giving you, that's coming from a benevolent source. It's reframing out your entire life to move you forward, to move you higher. That's why it's so dangerous. This is where this whole show started today. That's why it's so dangerous hanging out with people that see everything dark and negative, and this is unfair, and why me, and this shouldn't have happened, and what if, and I'm worried about this. Careful for that stuff is like super poison. We need superfoods.
There you go. You know, I was thinking not so long ago, some months back, maybe, I don't know, 5 months or 6 months ago, my wife really started getting into like bitter foods, but she makes this bitter tea with all these different herbs. And bitter melon that we have, you know, maybe a few times a week, you know, like fried bitter melon. Oh, which you're supposed to be doing,
I made bitter melon for Mara the other day.
No, Raghunath, you're supposed to be doing it regularly, like at least 3 times a week, remember?
Yeah. Well, I made it the other day.
Okay, now you got to get on the program.
It's hard to find it locally. We have to drive all the way like past Albany to get bitter melon.
Get out, really?
Yeah.
Okay. So well, then you got to find something else that'll play that role.
Yeah.
But here's the point. When we first got into it, this tea was like, oh man, this is like hard to drink, you know? And even the bitter melons, yeah, I can't eat very much. Now my mind has become reprogrammed, you know?
To love bitter melon?
Now I'm like, oh, this stuff is great. I drink the tea like no problem. You know, it's just like,
yeah.
I used to think it's bad. You know, that was a mental it was a mental concoction. My mind had been programmed to respond as this tastes horrible. Now it's adjusted, and my mind says, actually, this is really nice.
You've added different meaning. We are meaning-making machines. We're meaning-making machines.
There you go.
Cold weather is great.
Okay, I keep telling yourself that.
Yeah. Yeah, what do you call it? I did the same thing with quinoa. Quinoa was like my public enemy #1. And now I'm like, quinoa, bring it on. Who needs basmati rice?
I think we're out of time, Rogo. I think we're out of time.
Oh, wow. We're way out of time. We're over time. Okay, but I still want Mara's goodie takeaways.
Definitely.
I got some good stuff today.
All right.
Make your life mission to uncover and experience your true spiritual nature.
There you go. Let's do it.
Don't catch the hot coal.
No, don't
Drop
catch it. Let it go. Don't take that hot coal in your hand. Walk away and let them burn their own hands.
Don't catch the hot coal, Mara.
Fight the internal demons of pessimism and self-doubt.
Yeah, and worry. And worry.
Never chant the what if mantra.
what if this happens, Kostuba? What if it doesn't? Why not doubt your doubts?
Okay.
Do small things with great love for a perfect, successful life.
Mother
Doubt your
T.
doubts. T-shirt. Boom.
Degraded men are no better than animals.
Two-legged ones.
Yeah. Degraded women. What about degraded women? I don't like this men-women thing.
I have to ask Prabhupada. Good and bad are mental speculations.
Yeah, yeah.
Degraded women are better than animals.
Depends what kind of animal you're talking about and how degraded.
Reprogram your mind to enjoy bitter tea.
Yeah, you can do it.
We're meaning-making machines.
Yeah.
And
And
You got a big and? You lost your and?
No, I lost my other screen
Music
with the
screen.
where'd
Oh
it
my God.
go?
He's a
Okay, I
juggler
got
here.
it. Sorry.
and
And not today, Satan.
Not today, Satan. How did you know I wanted to say
how about
that?
tomorrow?
Oh, I did say it. I said it before the show. Not today, Satan. Let that be your mantra today, people. And the Maha Mantra. Let the Maha Mantra be your mantra. And not today, Satan. Because things are going to come your way. People will come your way and drag you away from your path. And you look them in the eyes and say, not today, Satan.
Come back tomorrow.
Kostuba?
What about when the devil went down to
Careful
Georgia?
when you text me today. Because you're going to get the reply, not today.
What about when the devil went down to Georgia?
Don't get me going when the devil went down to Georgia, because that is one of my favorite all-time songs.